This is Smooth 98.1, Smooth Breakfast with me, Valentine, and Rotus is here for Business
Yes,
Express.
indeed. Yes, indeed. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. How you feeling this morning, man?
I got a good amount of sleep last night, so I've got some
Oh,
energy.
that's good.
Lagos, let's try to sleep early, the best we can. If traffic will allow us get home on time, that's the
That's
issue.
good. And Hazel is here. Yay! Hi,
Hi, good
Hello, Hazel.
Hazel.
morning.
And for our listeners, Hazel is going to shout today. Don't worry. Okay.
No, she's
We,
not
we-
doing any of that.
okay. Well, Valentine, you will
Yeah.
raise. Yes, you will do
Hazel,
the
I got you.
technical things. Yeah,
I
on your
got you.
side.
Send us messages through WhatsApp to 0809 If you want to send a message from outside the country, you can actually add +234 to that number 0809 344 On Twitter, we're at Smooth981FM. The hashtag is Business Express 981.
All right, thank you, sir. So market continues to, fall. Yesterday was down again by 0.79%. 28,341 points is where the market closed. 13.8 trillion naira market cap. Cornerstone Insurance was our top gainer, up by 10%, and our top loser was Consolidated Hallmark Insurance. I think that's 2 days in a row now. They were down by 9.09%. All right, so oh, by the way, Hazel is under the weather. Okay, she's a little bit of a flu, but she's a warrior. She's a fighter. She still joined us, so bear with us. All right, Hazel, let's start things off with the second quarter performance of pension funds as far as what you're seeing. Of course, again, Hazel is with Sigma Pension, so it's natural that we'll at least talk about how pension funds are allocating their, funds that they're managing and so on. Hazel, what are we seeing for the second quarter of the year for Q2?
Uh, so, performance in the second quarter was pretty much quite a lot better than what we saw in Q1.
Okay.
Um, Based off of the Pencom reports, the Pencom report that's out basic actually is for Q1, but I believe that that's what we saw in Q1 is most likely what continued into Q2. So what we saw in Q1 was that a number of PFAs scaled back on their equity exposure,
Mm.
and increased their holdings in or their exposure to treasury bills and some corporate debt to some extent. But yeah,
Okay.
so I believe that that's probably I believe that that's what continued into Q2.
Mm. Okay.
Given the fact that the equity market has been down for has been posting negative returns for a bit now,
Right.
um, I believe most PFAs might have scaled back on their equity holdings
Right.
and increased the exposure to higher yielding T bills and and the
Okay.
likes.
So
PFAs, pension fund
administrators,
administrators,
yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
and
That's right.
then
Okay. Yeah.
go on.
So if for folks that keep asking about, okay, how do I invest? How do I construct my portfolio, so on and so forth? What do you say to? Because I've told a couple of folks in the past that, hey, listen, one thing you can do, maybe look at how look at Pencom's allocations. That's Pencom's rules that they give to PFAs to say, okay, this is where you should put majority of your funds, so on and so forth, and maybe try to replicate. Well, what do you think about telling the average investors to say, hey, look, if you're looking for some kind of guidance as to how to construct your portfolio, if you have money that you want to put away, how about you try to mirror what the PFAs are doing or mirror what Pencom is instructing PFAs to do? What do you think about that?
Um, okay, so Pencom has asset allocation guidelines for all the PFAs. So, but it differs across the funds that the funds that we have. So, Fund One is is the most aggressive fund.
Mm.
It's for younger people.
Right, right.
So, Fund Two, however, is the default fund. Fund Two. So prior to let me just go back.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to July 2018, we had just two funds. So the active service fund, that's the regular RSA fund, and then the retiree fund.
Right.
So the RSA fund had monies of people that were 20 and just finished school and started working,
Mm.
and people that were 50 and were still maybe your MD at 50 that's still in the office.
Right.
And then the retiree fund was for retirees. So in July, Pencom came up with a multi-fund structure, and now we have four active service funds.
Right.
So, I'm sorry, three active service funds, and then the fourth fund four is the retiree fund.
Okay.
So, Fund 1, 2, and 3 are the active service ones, and Fund 2 is basically the default fund, which was the former regular RSA fund.
Right.
and then now you can elect to move to fund one if you want to have a more aggressive
portfolio.
portfolio. And then but once you're past 50, you automatically get moved to fund 3.
Okay.
However, you can request to be moved back to fund 2 if you want a more aggressive portfolio.
Now I believe you can only do that once a year.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there's that. So we have asset allocations along those funds. What I can also what you might want to do, however, is so the asset allocations are more like a maximum of 6%. So for fund 1, I remember is a maximum of 6% in FGN and CBN securities.
Okay.
Maximum of 30% in ordinary shares or in equity holders, things like that. However, how it would be easier to replicate would be perhaps to look at the PENCOM quarterly reports,
Okay.
which show you the asset allocation at the end of the quarter across all funds, across all PFAs.
Okay.
So you can then use that to perhaps replicate what funds are actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that one would show you that. So that's the one I was referring to earlier. That as at Q1, fixed income holdings were about 70%.
Right.
So you can use that to. I think it'd make more sense to use that to replicate the actions of your PFA.
Okay.
To try to replicate, because that would give you a sense as to what the average asset allocation across the industry, across these funds are.
Is doing. Okay.
Yeah. However, this for March, for Q1, it came out in May, so
it's a little behind.
Yeah, it's a little behind.
All right. Okay, let me also give out this with PENCOM's website to folks that if you want to check out their quarterly report. So it's pencom.gov.ng for those out there who are interested in seeing exactly what Hazel has been kind enough to explain for us. They want to see how they're allocated, how funds are being allocated, and the quarterly report. So if you want to get an understanding and you want to replicate kind of, you can do that. So again, pencom.gov.ng. I hope everyone that's working is actively saving towards their pension.
Very, very important.
That's our future.
Benga Kamo sent us a message on WhatsApp. He said, "We do hope our money in the PFAs are safe and will be available when we need it. Hope the government hasn't been borrowing money from there."
That's safe. Yeah,
They're
that's safe. Yeah,
safe.
yeah, that's safe. They are
They're
safe.
very safe.
So when we invest in T-bills or in government bonds, that's what people take as borrowing government money. However, it's not like the government is. It's not how do I put it? It's not loaning. It's not. I'm trying to find a way to put it.
How to put it
It's
diplomatically? Yeah.
It's basically investment in government funds, and it's actually
safe.
the safest.
Yeah.
It's the safest asset class compared to other asset classes.
Yeah.
Because if you're investing in a 15% bond, you know that, and let's assume that it's held to maturity. You know that it's 15% you are going to get.
Right.
On your investment. However, with equities, if you buy a certain company and something happens and that company dies,
Right.
then your investment has gone from 1,000 naira to zero or 5 naira. Or
But
something.
investing in treasury bills gives you ultimate security assurance by the
Yeah,
government.
because it's guaranteed by the government.
Yeah.
Right.
Last, the government will print money and pay you
I
back.
like
So
how you said that. Kufre is love struck. He's so excited that you're back, Hazel.
yeah,
He's-
Kufre
Hazel's
and
back.
Yinka. I'm surprised I haven't heard from Yinka yet.
Prince says, "Oh, just very good."
Prince says you're brilliant.
Say you're brilliant.
Yeah.
The lady is brilliant.
we appreciate it.
Messages there. Please add your names to your messages so we can take them. Send them to still with the hashtag Business Express 91 to Smooth 981 FM on Twitter.
All right. We move from PFAs to inflation. Hazel, how are we looking with inflation? I think it moderated a bit downwards for the month of June.
Yeah, so headline inflation in June printed about 18 basis points, so basically 0.18% lower
Okay.
at 11.22%. Basically, it was due to deceleration in both food prices and core inflation numbers in the period. So while core inflation touched a record low of 8.8%, its lowest level in over 3 years, on the back of slower paced growth in prices related to transport and hospitality services. Food inflation also similarly slowed to 13.6%, lower by about 0.24%.
Yeah.
From what was recorded in the previous month. Overall, we note that inflation has been a bit sticky over the last 12 months. That's around 11.1 to 11.4%. It's been within that range over the last 12 months.
Okay.
And basically, we expect inflation to print lower going forward. as food prices ease and core inflation's single-digit numbers and core inflation lower.
Okay, all right. So inflation is still where we are, still mostly driven by food. Okay. Valentine, I saw a message of somebody. Okay, it's Demola Oyewole. Ha!
Demola
This
says,
request is something else.
Is it possible for me to get 25% of my contribution twice, so more, in case losing jobs?
Oh,
more than once?
okay. I was wondering if I thought he was asking about getting a 25% return on an investment. Hey,
It's hard.
yeah. I think no, I don't think you can do that more than once. I think it's once you lose your job
After
and
6 months.
yeah, is it? I think is it not 4?
If you've been out of a job after 6 months.
6 months ahead, you can access up to 25%, but not more than once. No, if that's the case.
Exactly, and you can access, and they give it to you in tranches.
Right, exactly. All right, let's see now. We move.
Frank.
Okay, yes, go ahead, Frank.
Frank has a message. Frank says, considering our weak revenue position and high debt profile, do you still consider government securities risk-free?
I
Yes,
do.
they are.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
you know,
they
The
yeah.
economy does not affect the savings. Right?
Well, I mean,
Or
they
investments in treasury bills.
well, the thing is, go ahead.
Can you just go through the question again?
Yeah,
Just-
yeah.
Okay, so he says, Frank says, considering our weak revenue position and high debt profile, and I assume he's speaking about Nigeria. Right?
Yes, he
Do
is.
you still consider government securities risk-free?
So yes, they're risky because they're like Rotus mentioned earlier. They're I think so. Well, they're naira denominated debt investments, and they're fully guaranteed by the government of the country. So the thing is that even in a situation where if it comes to a situation where it is impossible for, if I choose that word, impossible for the government to pay back its debt, which currently is not the situation
Right,
for its naira denominated debt, especially.
right.
The government can choose to print these funds to
To pay it back.
pay it back. So, for naira denominated federal government debt, it is risk free.
Okay.
All right.
I like how she emphasizes naira denominated
Yes.
because we've borrowed in dollars as well.
BE says, Michael, I work. Okay, you work in a company that does not give pension.
Yeah.
What should I do? Report. To
Report. Michael, your website is www.pencom.gov.ng. I think there's even a phone number to call as well.
You can get access to this.
Exactly, in order to report that.
Michael can reach out to us.
Oh, okay, yes. You can
Yeah,
also
right.
reach out to Sigma Pensions. Yeah, they can. She's selling her market now in order for them
While
to
you're at it, please give your Twitter handle.
to hook you up.
You're not sure.
Sigma
Okay.
Pensions. Yes, just at
Yeah,
Sigma
at Sigma
Pensions.
Pensions.
Yeah.
Okay, Sahid says, can you really guarantee that PFA is safe, given the level of trust in this boring government?
Yeah, we have a lot of
This morning.
the trust issues are heavy. Yinka is infiltrating all these people.
I know.
Again,
Yes.
This is why PENCOM has guidelines, right? This is why they say, look, the equities are the riskiest assets, so they have at least for the less riskier pools, right? So yeah, this is why they have guidelines. So you follow the guidelines, and generally we haven't heard of any issues so far with PFA. So right, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Interesting. Tokwe says, good morning, guys. Is job loss the only reason you can give for you to be able to withdraw up to 25% of your pension?
Yes, Tokwe, that's it. Because the whole point is to save for retirement,
That's
Tokwe.
right.
If you start pulling out the money before you retire, then what's the point? So it's only when you're in a really serious situation where you have no income coming in that they allow you to withdraw up to 25%.
We're out of time.
Are we out of time already?
Yes, we are.
Chai, we have so many stories left.
I
Okay,
know.
no problem. At least,
Richard, we appreciate your message, Kufre and Yemi. We see you. Thank you so much.
cool. Thank you so much for your message.
And thanks,
And
Hazel.
Hazel from Sigma Pensions, thank you so much for joining us. I
Thank
appreciate
you
having you.
for
I hope you
having
feel
me.
better with the flu.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, talk to you soon, guys. 7:30 will be time for us to go into detailed analysis of our newspaper stories, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll have nice music lined up for you here on Smooth 98.1.
I'll come back and
Business.
I'll have to answer the questions tomorrow.